This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, I am MJ. You're listening to mbradio.us. We're on everything it is for giving of veterans a voice. And what a fun one I have today, talking about memories. I'm going to share with you some memories that I have and how I got over some of the other memories that kept triggering. Remember last week we talked about the amygdala, and we're going to talk about that again. That is the memory side of that brain. But I have a special guest. In fact, we're going to just do about a 20-minute on the special guest. I want you all to see something that, because I'm in a memory, and that memory is, his name is Rick Kay, and he's going to come on here towards the end of the show. And we're going to play a little clip with him. And then we're going to give him a chance to talk with us. But he is doing this big thing on Wednesday for veterans. And every year they honor and they bring the veterans and the first responders. And I want to show you some very just beautiful. That his energy is infectious, and it leaves beautiful lasting memories in your soul, and people flock to see him. And that's Rick Kay, and he'll be on after we go to break. After that 9:30 break, he'll be on, because we'll be playing his intro to bring him on. So let's get started. So here we go. Today is August the 23rd. We're going to do memory. How many people out there going, I can't remember crap? What the heck is going on? Right? Or they say when you get older, it is that CRS kind of memory going on, and you're like, I don't get it. What is happening, right? And it's like, was it important? So we're going to talk. Now, I understand there's a physical side to a memory, and there's a metaphysical side. You know, MJ, right? We're going to have to discover both of these beautiful outlets in order for us to get through. So when we refer to our memory, it is just a continued process of information of retention over time, right? It's that integral part of the human cognitive memory side upon having that recall. So where I don't want to get into so much of the PTSD side, and I know this is major on that PTSD side. But this today, this today, I want it to be very positive memory. I want it to be a memory where if you go through, hey Paul, hello from Texas. Every time I think about Texas, I always think, Texas with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. Ooh, I got to dance a little side step, Texas has a whorehouse. I don't know why I went there, but see, that's the memory. I love it. Thank you, Paul, because that's where it comes from, right? What triggered that in Texas? Well, you saw something, you heard something, um, and it stuck with you since you were small. And sometimes these are the most grandest things. When we think about, there's three main processes to our memory. The first one's encoding. Encoding refers to like the process that we go through, and it is either a visual, it's acoustic, or it's semonic, which means it means really something to you. Why did it mean something to you? Right? I'm going to refer now to Paul, living in Texas, because Paul, that Texas, it was such a fun time with my family watching that show and loving Dolly Parton and loving Burt Reynolds way back in the 60s and 70s. And it just gives my heart happiness. So, what I like to do is any type of memory that doesn't give me happiness, I work it out, right? The old proverbial forgive and forget. Because I can forgive, but I can never forget. Well, yes, you can. Or what you do is you forgive it on such a level and keep at it, keep at that memory, whatever that memory is that is nagging you. Then what you want to do is you want to come in and you want to give it as much as you can so that you can say, I honor you, I understand, I'm still alive, you're doing okay. Has to go away. Has to. Why? Because there's your PTSD. If we don't, even the tactile, right? Something that we felt, something that hurt, broken bones. We talked about me with the broken bone, 28 broken bones. That freaking hurt. They hurt. I know that all too well. But why do we remember those things? Because our egos and our judgment of our cognitive mind was to say, hey, I'm here and I'm warning you that trigger, there's a smell here to protect yourself, here, protect yourself, here, protect, right? Right. Because that's what our ego does. Our ego only wants to make us suffer. And we're like, oh, I don't think so. We already know these things, right? It is plastered in our memory, plastered. And now we have to go into the second part of memory, which is our storage bank. Storage refers to how, where, how we're doing. Let's see, Paul, what do we say here? Paul says, I used memories to co-write a song thinking I was over PTSD and I was wrong. And okay, great. Not great that you had PTSD. I have over 12,000 people with a positive message and it's on my page and it's could left behind. Yes, thanks, Paul, because yes, singing is a way of help reducing a trauma or a stressor point, and it's even the vibrations of the music of what frequency that you play. Paul, God love you, and I'm glad that you're singing because singing will help you in such a way that you just it'll eventually get less and eventually just go away, and then you take those triggers and you make a different you make it a happier thought, right? Woo, we got back. I definitely needed that, I needed that cigarette, I needed that beer, I needed that enjoyment, I needed that high five. I needed those endorphins to say, I did it. I survived. Here I am. I understand that was traumatic, but this is how we get to a positive conscience. It's not easy. Don't even think that I'm sitting here because I've lived through trauma myself. It's not easy, but you can do it. If you can learn to live within our heart space and know those 12 petals of the heart, man, we can do it. It is there. And it's just a conditioned mechanism that we need to use so that we understand our pattern. So we go into the storage side, go back because I was talking with Paul. So let's go back to the storage. It refers to how, where, how much, how long, when it took place, what's going on. It's all information that's encoded. And then our brain like puts it all over the place. And then we have what we call short-term memory and long-term memory. Well, our long-term memory sometimes is either in a trauma format or it is in a high endorphin format. Our short-term memory is stuff that we know, I don't need this. Your brain and you already know you don't need this, right? That's why somebody could tell you their name and knowing that it's just in passing. And sometimes there's people who have endemic memory, right? And they remember everything. Now that's a problem because they're usually gifted brains. And then when they remember everything like that, then it becomes a short hold on other things that we can store in the brain, right? Such as emotional decoding. We don't, that's not, there's no emotional decoding with people who have gifted brains. That is your autism brain where they don't understand what they're saying is hurting somebody because they don't have that feeling, right? They don't have the mechanism of an emotion that is 100% like a normal, not normal MJ, because they are normal. It's normal for them. So I don't want to say it's a normal thing, but all of us have our different. We are all different. We are all very loving, all very different. And some just are very, very fortunate to have endemic memory. And some of us are very fortunate to have such a memory that we can remember everything. My sister, I love talking about my sister and my memory because my memory bank with my sister, she'll remember something. I mean, she'll remember as plain as day. And I was older than 5 years old. I should have been able to remember. And it nothing. There's nothing there. Why is that? Because whatever event that played, that event, if I was the catalyst, that means that event was for her to remember something for learning. Same with me. If I remember something and she goes, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Then that was for me. See, that's the difference between metaphysical and physical. The physical always states, it really doesn't, like the good memories, though they're just good memories. But in the physical, when you start reading about memories and you start reading about Harvard's documentations and the Mayo Clinic's documentation, it's on the physical for psychological profiling and psychological therapies of how to get into that sensory. So for me, I look at the metaphysical side. What does that have to do with me today? Why am I remembering this? What is it that I didn't learn? Where's the lesson that I need to flip? Why is this triggering me? Right? So as I go through those levels, and again, this just didn't come, people. It just didn't do that. There's no way in gravy that it just did that. Okay, so, and I understand the process. It's long, it's emotional, sometimes very gut wrenching and painful. But if you do not leave go of those skeletons in that memory bank, so that when somebody does or a trigger comes in and you can just smile, there it is. So now my memories, if you watch my little thing, my memories, I don't have my father anymore. My father died 24 years ago. And I love to see, especially I'm home here in Pennsylvania, back home from the military after all these years, I finally got back home. And I remember my dad. I remember the cricks now. And I remember, watching him fly fishing. And I remember him on the lake. And I remember him, so much going in there. Yes, Paul, we will. We will definitely give it a listen, and I'll share it with all the other vets, and I'll even put it on my station. I promise. And then he says people always talked and thought that PTSD was violent memories. For me, it was just yeah. So guilt. Guilt is one of those renderings that we need to understand. Who put that guilt in you, Paul? Who did? You should have guilt. Guilt is the form of self-sabotaging of the ego, and it's also somebody else, man's point of view, right? That guilt cannot be. If you were serviced to do something, right, as a Templar, as a warrior, as an archangel, these I truly, in my life, I believe them to be anybody in the military. I truly, in my heart and in my soul, believe them to be um, purposely placed for balance. And as a PTSD vet myself, and those traumas, we can get over them. Yes, we can look at them, and yes, there are triggers that will trigger us. It's a long process, but we can. We can thank our Father, Mother, God above that we're able to heal us and anybody else. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. No, you can't. Paul says, I put it on myself. Okay, when you put it on yourself, then that means we have a deeper inner trauma. That is deep. That is below our solar plex line. That comes from sacral. Sacral means it comes from past life. And that means that, Paul, we need to heal that within because that is something of that memory that is so stored. It is very deep. And PTSD, this is again, PTSDs are deep because they have remorse, they have guilt, they have anxiety, they have fear, they have these things. As a soldier, I get it. And it is that everlasting, But when you can turn it around, tap, we learn to breathe in our nose because it's longer. Tap the thymus, breathe out, Paul going, I'm okay. I got done. I had to do what I had to do, and it's over. It's over. I had to balance a situation. I no longer am remorseful and I'm no longer in guilt. I did what I have done. Father, forgive me, right? And forgive those who have trespassed against me. Father, forgive me. That is it, Paul. Constantly tell your inner self that, okay? Just don't keep putting it on yourself. Keep singing, my friend. Keep singing. Keep playing music. Keep grounding in. And anytime, and if you want to reach out, you can note right here on the bottom, right there. Where is it? The World of Conscious Positive Thinking at mbr.us. I'm always here for any vet who has PTSD, any person. You don't have to be a vet, a first responder, anybody. Come on in and I got you. I'll help you. I'll help you start, realizing you're safe, hoping that you're realizing there's no more guilt. It's in the past. It's already over. It's over. Okay? We need to move on with this. So, and it's hard. It's deep and it's hard. So we go back to our storage. We were talking about our storage memory, which is long term, short term. Like Paul, he has this long term. So where is that short term memory or the STM that we forgot about? So that short term memory, that's the CRS because it's insignificant, right? Knowing somebody's name at a party where there's 100 people, and unless there's an energetic connection, the odds of you remembering that person's name is probably not going to be there, but it's okay. Way okay. You don't have to worry about it. Folks, I got to go to my first break. I just realized the time here. So a really short one, and then we'll be giving you right back. I'm going to go ahead. You're listening to MBR Radio, and I'm going to play you the new show. It's called Beyond the Headlines, and that will be a really quick one for us. And what that one is there's 4 veterans, ladies here who got together, and we're trying to show beyond the balance of the headlines, where something is so ugly and dangerous and catastrophe and just more negative. We learn to try to figure out how to balance it and have everybody's opinion about it, and to show that as an opinion base, we all get along. So here's the bumper for that, and we'll be right back.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join MJ, Kristen, Kara, and Terry for Beyond the Headlines, putting today's news into perspective. Join us on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Facebook, anywhere you get your podcasts. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
Told you that was going to be quick. But here's the bumper. No matter what I say, you can't hold MBR against you. I didn't play the bumper, but it's okay. So let's get back. So now we go down to the retrieval side, right? So this is the third step, and it indicates the retrieval is the process through which individuals access the stored information, right? Due to their difference of where they're at in their life and how we can go ahead and balance that. Many people find that bad experiences stick out more than happier ones. Where are you in your life purpose? Where are you in your soul purpose? If you keep remembering bad things, that means you have not healed these traumas. Go backwards. We need to go backwards to heal in order to go forward. There is no around it. If you don't like PTSD and you don't like trauma and you don't like anxiety and you don't like these things, then that memory is no good, right? That means we need to heal. Find some help, dig deep within, get in there, dig. It's okay. It's okay to have diamonds out our eyes. It is okay to have vocal skrills or screams. It is okay to go and take that energy and box whatever you need to box, or go fish and pull and jig those rods, right? Jig them hard. Go fly fishing and strip them. Do whatever you need to do. Go to I love the crash sites now. You know how you go in, you have your goggles on, you have all your stuff, and take a hammer, you just beat the crap out of stuff and you want to destroy it. I know there's some psychologists out there who say, oh, that's not a good thing. You're teaching people to have anger. No. So you have to get this anger out. So you're going to kick the dog. You're going to scream at the family. You're gonna scream at, who? Your wife, your husband? Why? When these endorphins need to come out. And if they need to come out, then we need to figure out something, right? We need to figure out how, we need to figure out why, and we need to figure out how to release it the best way we can do that. So I was telling you about my dad. The other thing, um, I was in the fishing industry, and some of my most grandest memories of the fishing industry. And it was so funny putting this together. Talk about energy. One of the pictures I used was my largest marlin. It was 500 pounds. That was like the biggest fishing goal ever. Out of the 538 billfish in my career that I have caught, that one I caught with Mr. Brad Phillips, and he was pretty new to Guatemala at the time, because he had come from Brazil. He was at another location, and then we brought him with the same company. We kind of brought him over from Caniveras, Brazil, over to Guatemala. He wasn't there that long, and I happened to go down during my work, and we were like, the marlin were jumping, and I said, "Let's go." Let me tell you, the endorphins, the adrenaline, the rush for a 500 pounder. Well, as you see, if you looked at the the previews, we weren't getting that in the boat. I had to come over the side of the boat, and I had to really. That was Brad, and he is. You can reach him at Guatemalan Bill Fishing Adventures, and he'll be happy to take you out. He'll also share with you, he has the Toro, I think it's called the Toro in South Africa. He has a safari. His family, and now I believe him and his wife now are running. It is he is an amazing guy in himself. I think you all need to reach out to Brad and Cindy. They are beautiful people. His last name is Phillips, and you can get to the safari at the end of South Africa, down south, or you can go to Guatemala and you can fish with him on Guatemalan Bill Fishing Adventures. But that was like, woo, that was like a highlight. My other highlight, of course, was my 500 fish. I was on the boat again with my 500 billfish, and that was with Captain Eric Lorenzen, and I just enjoyed that day to the epitome. And then, of course, when I had my bilateral mastectomies, another great memory was, that was tragic. However, my husband and my friend Captain Art and Captain Ozzy, they decided that I had to get back in there. I had to get back in, and for me to get back into the action for my 538. We're not going to say that Ozzy hooked it and I just reeled it in, because he really wants that to be the 538. It was all kind of, if you're in the fishing industry, when you pull the lever, I mean, you already know, because when you mate and captain so much, it's a habit. And anyway, that was another good memory. And then I had, of course, different beautiful, um, large, world records. One fish, I got two world records in Galapagos. I mean, these are all memories. These are just, and this is what I love. I love these memories because I come back in and I play that, and it is just phenomenal for me. Of course, birthing my kids. There you go. A lot of women who don't release enough oxytocin have pain during these massive labors that they can't get over. And then they don't ever want another child because it's very traumatic, like a PTSD. If you release enough oxytocin levels, that is how, Father, Mother, God build our body, and into releasing that love overrides that beauty. And that is just amazing to me. So these are just different types of memories, flashbacks, triggers. These are all sensories. Your sensories are feeling the emotion, remembering the emotion, the reminder of the event. These triggers, we need to start labeling them. We talked about them in a lot of my other episodes. Find your triggers. What is triggering you? Why are you getting triggered like that? Where's your squirrel? Where's your list of squirrels? When you start that trigger, where's that list of happy thoughts? Where's that list of diverting this so we don't full-fledged go into this PTSD memory bank, right? By these triggers. But if we don't start writing the triggers down and we don't start becoming conscious or aware of them, then we go nowhere, right? It's just a nowhere type of feel. And then at that, then what happens? What happens? We go down the rabbit hole. We go down that darn rabbit hole that nobody ever wants to go, because it is just, it hurts. It hurts too much. This is like one-on-one Well, good. I'm hoping. I hope it helps because sometimes that's all it takes. It's coming and being aware and talking, Paul. And it is exactly that. It is becoming aware of what triggers us and how do we remove those triggers. And it's great. Sometimes here you go. Some of the symptoms for those triggers being easily startled, feeling tense or on guard or on edge, having difficulty concentrating, having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep with the fear that something's going to happen, feeling very irritable and having angry and aggressive outbursts. That's the one that everybody always wants to talk about with the PTSD. They're angry and you can't get to them. They see the red. And then they have engaging in risky or reckless or really destructive behaviors. So these are just signs and symptoms. If you see people in your realm or your family members, if they're in any type of PTSD or anxious memory banks or some type of traumatic event, okay? Your brain responds differently. It's always in a highly emotional experiences than ordinary events. Hence my sister, right? As my sister's, I was talking to her earlier. How is it that she remembered or I remembered, but neither of us remembered something about the events that we went through? Because that wasn't a life lesson for us. If you see the metaphysical, we are here to learn life lessons in order for the soul to go back up. That's the metaphysical side. Whether you like it or not, that's who we are. We're electromagnetic beings, and our soul is where it all comes from. And that's just the bottom line from there. Um, let me see. There's a lot of different reasons why we might remember something happy, sad. I mean, think of the litany of emotions, right? And when we think of the litany of emotions, if anything is on a negative level or a lower level of consciousness, these are the ones we want to really put aside, write them down and say, I need to work on this one today. This is the one today that I'm going to have to work on because as we speak, this one is keeping me from being happy, keeping me from moving forward, keeping me from doing what I want to do. Yeah, yeah. So, yes. And it's funny because some of the men go, the amount of pain that I had, you know, in a kidney stone, I can't imagine having a child, but you don't love a kidney stone. So I always say, yes, you can pass a kidney stone and they're very uncomfortable and they're very painful. But when you have the pain of giving birth as a female, those oxytocin level, I mean, that's what it is. It's the love hormone called oxytocin that actually it renders so much love in your heart to have that incredible miracle of life happen so that you are able to forget that pain. I remember my mom telling me, "Oh, you won't even remember it." And I'm sitting there getting ready to have a baby. Oh, you'll just never remember it. And then you're watching the videos going, that shit has to hurt. That has to hurt. And being scared, being young, being in, my early 20s, I'm thinking to myself, oh man, that there's something that's gonna hurt. It's gonna really hurt. I didn't think about this. In inducing pain, evolution, right? Can I had talk my way? And here it is. You're talking that mindset. It's encoding, it's the mindset, it's the memory of being used, and now it is encoding going, all right, so what? It's gonna be over, then you're gonna have a beautiful baby, and then it'll be all over. And convincing and convincing and convincing. It's like a brainwashing. Memory is a little bit like that. Disassociation by anesthesia. We disassociate ourselves because of that. We don't like it. There's no need for it at all. So if we're going to disassociate with our mind, then this is kind of like the mind blocks that are important, right? It's important that we block it out to a degree and take little bits at a time. Sometimes taking baby steps instead of taking that full leap is easier on the human psyche, right? That's just how I see it, and that's how I played it out. With so much trauma in my life, I had to take one step at a time. Yes, it's a process. I'm not going to say it's not a process. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It's not. Nothing in this life is easy, right? Because when it becomes easy, you've learned your life lessons. That means your life purpose and your soul purpose is over. So enjoy it. Sit back and ride the wave until it's time to go. Some people come in loaded with life lessons. Some people come in with hardly any life lessons. And you'll see those different people. They're very they're always the happy-go-lucky people. Smiles, right? So Smiles has learned. I love talking with Smiles because Smiles has learned to transfer that. And that is awesome. These are just beautiful people that you can see in life. Some people are always happy, no matter what comes at them. They're happy, or they'll fixate, going, "You're not going to put me down. Nope, not today. Nope, nope, no." And just keep telling your higher conscious, "No, no, I don't want to be miserable. No, I don't want that." Right? There's some things like 9/11 that we were just there a little bit ago for September the 11th. And oh, here we have Paul. I had been out of the military for 20 years. The first 10 years was horrible. Ending up having to work for myself, that was a turning point for me. Absolutely no issues then. I went into the rabbit hole by accident, but I have had no regret at all because I do believe my song is helping others and opened me up, and very thankful. Well, you know what, Paul? I think you need to come on with me and we need to talk about these lyrics, and we need to figure out why these lyrics were so uplifting, because your song and your words and how you came out, everybody comes out differently. But I love music, Paul, and music is one of the biggest things that helped me too. I don't write it, and God love you that you have such lyrical. In fact, I have to tell you, one of the best Hindu deities, and it's in the energy right now of the moon cycle, is Saraswati. She is all about music and lyrics and creativity. So check her out. Her name is Saraswati, and she's a Hindu deity. And but yeah, Paul, you need to come on and we'll talk about your songs and your lyrics, and we'll break them down and go and show your fellow soldiers how to come out of those rabbit holes. It is. And thank you. Oh, you'd be happy to. Well, good. So you can go ahead and check us out at the World of Conscious Positive Thinking. It's right here on thing. Just email me and we'll get you up and we'll get your music going. And I would love to I'd love to break out music lyrics, and we go through them beautifully. So now what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go to a commercial break, and then hopefully at that point we'll be able to see if Rick is with us or what's going on, and then we'll get him up on the horn and we'll start real soon. Hold on. Let's go to break and we'll talk about Mr. Rick K.
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Hold on, let me go out this again.
At a casino called the Isle of Capri, beautiful little riverboat casino. And woke up, turned on the TV, got a cup of coffee, and saw the world had changed. We always knew our veterans, our armed service members, were so vitally important because they go overseas to keep the battles overseas versus bringing them here to our own country. But after that day, I think everyone remembered, and I don't think has ever forgotten since, the first responders, the people that protect your children when they go to school, the fire department that protects your home and your business, the state police, the local police, EMS, 911. You found out how vitally important they were after that. And so that's why every day, ever since then, I make sure we include them every single time. Because to me, they're putting their lives on the line every single day when they put that uniform on. The same way as the armed service members and our veterans that are lucky enough to be here with us today, and those that are gone. So this song goes out to the freedom we have, the security we have because of those people. It's a song called God Bless the USA, and I hope you like it. For all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today. because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who tried, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend us till today. 'Cause there ain't no time, I love this land. God bless the USA. If you're a veteran, an armed service member, or a first responder, put your hand in the air. Let us see where you are. How about a hand for those people? From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA. Well, this pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who tried, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend us still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who tried, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend us still today. 'Cause there ain't no time, I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you, veterans, armed service members, and first responders. God bless America.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
So that is Rick Memory. Every time I came home as a veteran, I would get choked up because he is so endearing, inspiring. He holds veterans at his heart, first responders at his heart, and he never forgets. I don't care where I have ever got to see this man in the last 10 to 15 years. He always remembers to point us out. People who have PTSD and memory, it's a thankfulness, it's an honor, and it is like inspiring. So now you're going to hear from Rick twice today. You're going to hear from him right now. I'm going to bring him up, and then in a couple of weeks we're going to have a whole episode of Rick K. So I'm going to bring him up. Let's get Rick up.
Interview of the week sponsored by LTD Tactical.
Hey, Rick. There's H Train. That's our producer, Rick. H Train. Here we go. I am inspired by you. You bring tears of grace and humility. And I just want to know, where did you get such an overwhelming love in that heart of yours?
Well, good morning, everybody, and great to be with you, MJ. Thank you so much for having me on. We're very excited to get another opportunity to celebrate our veterans coming up this Wednesday at the 6:30 show at the Bloomsburg Fair. And I just have always felt the 25 years that I've been performing that I was very lucky as a child because my parents, my grandparents were just in between when they could have been drafted. They could have been, sent away. And so it made me even more appreciative for all of those that gave to people like my family who just happened to be born at the right times. Because not everyone was that way. And so that was the beginning of it, because I was always interested in the armed services and read a lot about history, everything back to the American Revolution, the Civil War, Korean, Vietnam. I just was always interested. And just like any young boy, played with my Army soldiers and and appreciation just grew as an adult once I realized how much people had given to allow us to have the freedoms we have here in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, like I said, you inspire and you just hit all the hearts. No matter how many veterans you talk to. I happened to be here in Pennsylvania in August when you were in Knoebels, and I was like, beeline, I'm there. And you called everybody up. It was such a beautiful thing. And I know Bloomsburg is even bigger. And that's why I cannot wait for everybody to see how the crowds go nuts over you and how the veterans and the first responders love and just, they raise you, my friend. I know that is an endorphin, like, woo! And I feel it because I'm such an energist. And I'm like, my God, he creates such a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, you used to do just veterans. And in the program, you were talking about 911, how that affected you with the first responders.
Yes. Me and the fellows are on the road over 200 days a year. We're usually in about 40 different states. I've been lucky enough to travel overseas. And so you get to fully understand how lucky we are in this country. There's a lot of great countries to visit, but people realize right away why everyone wants to come to the United States to live. Because of those freedoms. And 9/11 was a reminder that it doesn't always happen overseas. Sometimes it comes to our own homeland. And so we have to be vigilant at all times. And the first responders on that particular day, finally, people realize how important they are as well and are a vital cog with all of our veterans and all of the armed services, both here at home and abroad. And so that's why I began adding them into our tribute as well, because they always should have been. But until tragedy strikes, a lot of people don't think about those things.
That's right. There's the memory, that memory bank goes right back to it. And then you honor it. And I love how the way you do this is just a beautiful memory way of healing those people. And I cannot say enough about you. And I'm like one of those creepy followers, Rick. I'm like one of those fans who, no matter where you're at, I'm sure I'm in that stand somewhere. If I'm 100 miles or closer, I'm there.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You had a really big schedule this last couple of weeks.
We've been busy all year. Finally, things have kind of come full circle again after COVID. Yeah. Obviously that stopped the entire world for a period of time. But here now, several years later, things have finally gotten back pretty much to normal. And everyone is, back out living their lives. And so hopefully, when people come to the show, my goal is always just to help them forget their problems for about 75 to 90 minutes at a time. And if they can forget about the fact the electric bill might be late, or maybe they're having a hard time at home, or maybe with their family, or maybe they've got an illness in their family. And then when you match that up with the days where we can truly, celebrate all of our veterans, our armed service members, because they have the same problems, the same feelings, And so many people forget, it's just not over for them once they return from their tours of duty, be it 4 years, be it 16 years, be it 24 years, whatever they were in for. And that's where you guys come in so helpful to help the disabled veterans. And I hope after our program that day, more and more people realize what a wonderful job you guys do as well in supporting them daily and giving them access to some things that maybe they needed help with that they weren't getting in other locations.
Yeah. So you have a challenge because we're getting the rain here today. So we got rain coming up at the Bloomsburg Fair, and you watch how many people will be in ponchos just to come see you.
Well, we're very lucky. We're very lucky, MJ. There at the fair, the location will be performing, the free stage. It holds roughly 1,500 to 2,000 people. It's covered.
Yeah.
It's a covered location, and so is the band. Very large stage, wonderful production. So the rain won't affect the show whatsoever. And so everyone, please feel free to come out regardless of the weather, because we're covered, and so are you.
And you were just in Indiana, so how did that show? That was
got home about 6 a.m, and we were about an hour south of Columbus, Indiana, and did a car show, and actually got to see quite a few veterans last night, because a lot of the guys and gals love to have their hot rods, and so we had a great time.
Right. So the next question I have for you is, how do you get inspired before you go and play? What inspires you the most?
Well, number one, there's no question. It could be for 5 people or 5,000, as far as the people that attend. And that just motivates you right off the bat. I try to go out and talk to as many of the fans and patrons and family as I can before and after the show. And so many of them that have seen the show before, or maybe it's their first time, will come up and tell me about their personal stories. So many of the veterans will come up and thank me, having seen our previous veterans tributes. It's just something that I feel that they should be appreciated every day, not just Veterans Day, not just Memorial Day. And so we always try to do a segment of the show every day that we send out to those that are in attendance, and of course those that are gone that gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Amen for that one. So I know Wednesday is the veterans at the Bloomsburg Fair. So is that added on top of the show, or do you combine that within the show?
That's great. Wonderful question. So our regular show will be about 6:30, and we'll do about half hour to 45 minutes of greatest hits of the 50s to even up to today, a few songs. And then, so at about 10 after, what would that be? 10 after 7. Then we segue into specifically the portion of the program that lasts about 15 to 20 minutes that we send out to the veterans. We'll be doing God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood, who is a major inspiration to me and everything he's done over the years for the veterans. And we'll do the national anthem, and we'll do the Armed Services medley, where we recognize each of the branches. And one of the things I started the very first time, and it came very organically, after we're done with the program, all of the veterans that are able to, I bring them up on stage, and we get a group photo with everyone. And then those that aren't able to come up on stage, we have them just come to the front of the stage and get a group photo. And it's always just been wonderful to have those. I mean, we've had as many as 400 or 500, veterans at some of the events, in addition to the regular fans that come. And it's just so wonderful to be able to honor them on those days.
Yeah, at Canovo, I know that there's so much going on at one time, but you inspire those that are laced in a wheelchair to do the best that they can to stand up. That song Lee Greenwood came out when I was in basic training, and
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it stuck in my head. And I think sometimes that's my emotional side. I'm like, oh my God, that was such that memory of that song coming out and being in what they called the fishbowl. It was just an overwhelming, like, endorphins running through. So you hit my heart. You hit the heartstrings. You really did. 15 years ago when I first found you, I am forever a fan, and you deserve it. You know, I have a vet who's on here right now. His name is Paul, and he's from Texas. And he makes the comment, "I'm scared to death." And he writes and he sings, but he's scared to death to sing in front of people. Did you ever have that fear, Rick?
You know, there's no doubt that you're always nervous. I think no matter how many shows you do, be it your first or be it your 1000th, that's part of the energy level. And if Paul can find a way to, I mean, the first time, there's no question, it's scary. I don't care if it's karaoke night, you know, or if you're at a fair festival, you know, or a concert. That first time is very, very nervous and scary. But the key is to try to use that nervousness, anxiety as an energy level as you're performing, and just try to transfer it into a positive for you. And, you know, once you get out there and those first couple words come out of your mouth, you'll be very surprised how easy it goes after that. It's just those first couple. If you get those first couple words out, it goes much easier after that.
So my producer, H-Train, he's trying to get up here on the stage, and that's why you keep staying. Let me see if we can't. There he is. There he is. Hey, H. So when I told H about it, he's waving. He's trying to figure out my backside because I am using. Sorry. Okay. He says I'll fix it. You took Rick off there, H. So they're in Colorado, the MB radio, and they have a plethora of viewers all over the world. They have veterans who come on here and talk who are actually in the military and themselves overseas, and this is so great because this is the Voice of Veterans station. And Joel is bringing that 501c3, and we do so many dynamics. And when I told him about you, he goes, "Get him on." I go, "No, I'm getting him on." I go, "If I have to hog tie him, I'm going to get him on for it."
Anything to help, because the key is getting the word out. And that's where I think it's so helpful, you know, with all the different states that we perform in. You know, we're able to get the word out all across the country. You know, some very poor areas sometimes we'll do county fairs in areas that's the highlight of those people's year, because maybe they're in a difficult employment area, or maybe in an area that, you know, doesn't have as much access to health care or what have you. And so sometimes the music is just a respite for a brief period of time for people that are, you know, having difficult times, and just like our veterans.
Yeah. So Rick, how does it work? Like, for us veterans, when we have our spouses, you know, we go on these tours, and then there's a lot of, you know, lost or lonely hardships that we do on the band that you keep going. How does that work with your family and your life?
There's no doubt that that's the most difficult part, is to be away from your family. And over the 25 years or so that I've been touring, my dad was a musician. My mom sang in the choir. My grandmother played piano. So I was very lucky. There's music all over my house.
I was going to say, no wonder you're talented.
Oh, I was very lucky, very lucky. And that's the most difficult part, is when you're away. Now, the way I personally found to get around it was that when my children were younger, well, I booked a lot of amusement parks. And so during the summer, they would travel with me quite often. And so they grew up riding roller coasters and coming to, they heard more Rick Kay songs than they probably would ever care to hear again, honestly. And that's how I met the wonderful family of the Knoebels. And my children grew up in that park, along with some other parks across the country. And then the appreciation of the military just grew from there, because one of the co-owners of the park, Dick Knoebel, was in the Marines.
Yes, he
and
was.
he will be the first to remind you that he was in the Marines.
Yep.
And of course, like any armed service, he reminds me that it's not the Army, Air Force, or each of the guys and gals, they definitely represent their own branch. And but being away from their family is the most difficult.
Leanna is a very she was my field hockey coach. She was also my in high school. She was the athletic coach, like the gym coach. And so I go back a long way with Leanna and the Knoebels, but living here, literally right over the mountain, is Danville, and that's where I was born and raised. So I know the Knoebels very well. They live, some of them live in Danville themselves, and very, very fortunate to have that beautiful park. It is.
Absolutely. And it's getting recognized now all over the world, between the roller coasters and the fact that it's a free, one of the last free amusement parks. And there again, getting back to the people that have difficult times, maybe employment-wise.
Yeah.
There's few places they can go that don't cost you anything to walk in. And
doesn't even cost you to park.
Yes.
You can park free. You can go in free. You can walk around free.
Absolutely.
Rick's concert was free. I can't believe your concert was free, but Knoebels makes it so that it's free. I love that. I love that. But I'd pay $100 to see it, my friend. I would do it.
You're very lucky in that area as well, because the newspaper there, the Press Enterprise, has always been very supportive of our work with the veterans. And they always do a wonderful job of promoting the different events, including Wednesdays at the Bloomsburg Fair. And so we want to thank them for everything they've done to let the veterans and the general public know about the events.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is one of those states that they love veterans. I don't know of any store, any store, any event, everything. You get 10 to 20%. Everything. Buying a brand new car, you get 15%. I think it was. Just because you're a veteran, they just love them here. So
well, as you saw at the show, one of the things that I always do is I ask the veterans, armed service members, first responders to raise their hand at several points of the tribute, so people can see literally how many people are sitting around them from their local communities. And Pennsylvania, without a doubt, out of all the different states, they are one of the highest percentage of veterans and armed service members, first responders in the audience. It's just a very high percentage of people that did military service in Pennsylvania. I'm always astonished by how many people raise their hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rick plays this Wednesday and is Military Appreciation at the Bloomsburg Fair. This fair is, I want to say it's 200 years old. It's old. It is a very, and it's huge. People don't realize, but if you would walk the actual perimeter, I think it's 5 miles to walk that whole perimeter. And there is just so much, you can't see it in a day. And that's why it runs, I think, it runs from a Friday to the following Sunday.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things I'd recommend, I always try to do it once a day. I'm there 2 days. I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 shows a day. But the military tribute is Wednesday, 6:30. Is you need to ride the I always call it a ski lift, but I know they have a different word for the tram that goes across, and it gives you a wonderful
skyline.
View. Wonderful view of the entire park, and then you do realize how large it is.
They even have this year they have hot air balloons. So you can either have it tethered or not tethered. And they're right in the middle of the track. So that's where you would go up. If you want to see something different and do something different, you can do those air balloons this year.
That's a wonderful addition they've added this year.
Yeah, it really is. So my time is done. I'm here at 10 o'clock hour, but you can bet your booty I'll be there tomorrow to follow you and to listen and cheer you on. And then Wednesday we'll have a beautiful, beautiful interview one-on-one with showing you how big and glorious the Bloomsburg Fair really is and how people love Rick. and they follow him. I don't care if he's in Indianapolis. I don't care if he's in West Virginia, but this man, he started in Las Vegas. It's like crazy how far he expands. And he is always with the hearts of the veterans. And that's what we're here. And that's what we're all about. And I'm so thankful, Rick. So thankful.
Thank you so much, MJ.
Look
forward to it. Hope to see everybody this week at the fair.
I'll be there. Be there at the fair. What do they say in Miami? The county fair is the fair. Be there. There's somebody calling. Hold on. Hi, you're on Conscious Positive Thinking. Can I help you?
Yeah, hey, this is Paul from Texas.
Well, there you go. This is Rick. Rick K is on today, Paul.
Hey, how you doing, Rick? I tell you what, buddy, this is like this whole journey with me. The last 6 months has just been, I mean, it's just been organic and non-predicted. And I tell you what, for me personally, my music was better than any drug the VA could have ever given me, because I quit taking their drugs because they just make you into zombies. And I was so grateful for people such as yourself, both of y'all, that reach out to veterans and really help veterans. And I'm honestly, I hope that's what the song I wrote does, is just it just touches somebody and lets them know, hey, there's a reason you got left behind. You know.
Well, music is a wonderful outlet, Paul. And I hope it's a way that, it can build strength for you and help you on the difficult days as well. And writing songs, as the one that you mentioned, that's a wonderful outlet, to express your feelings, emotions, things that you've experienced, with your other veterans. And I hope you get the courage to go to an open mic night somewhere close to you and perform it. And I think once you do that once or twice, you'll realize even how more powerful the music can be for you.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I really hope so, because I am kind of an outgoing person. I do, like I'm on a radio show in Arizona. I'm going out there in 2 weeks. They fly me and my wife out there. And I'm really outgoing. I mean, it's just amazing, man, because this whole thing got put out. I put this video out like three or 4 days before the 20th anniversary of my friend's death in Iraq. And in 3 weeks so far, it's gotten like over 12,000 views, and it just blew me away. It's just blown me away. And like I told his mother, I said, you know what? If this message reaches 10% of all those people that needed to hear this, because it can go out to first responder, veterans, just
it applies to everyone that have been in that position. And you'd be surprised. And now you're starting to recognize how many other people are out there exactly like you, Paul. How many veterans, armed service members, first responders who feel the same way. And that's why that video of yours is getting the response that it is, because of those 12,000 people that feel exactly like you do.
Exactly.
Listen to him, Paul. Listen to him.
It's something I never expected.
Okay. I'm proud of you. Thanks, Paul, for stopping in with us. And you're going to be able to talk to Rick. You can go on Facebook and find Rick K Roadshow. He's there. You can find him on Instagram as well. So hopefully Rick will give us all of his contact information, and he can inspire you, because he inspires so many people just from the heart.
Wow. And Jay, I can't thank you enough. The easiest place to go is our website to start, because then you can get to all of our social media outlets. So if you just go to rickk.org, then you can get to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, and we would love to hear from you. And especially the veterans, armed service members out there, love to hear your stories. And I can't wait till Wednesday to get to see and meet even more of the guys and gals that have made our country what it is today, the greatest country on the face of the planet.
And in that being said, we need to go, because I'm really past my hours. So may the angels carry us with peace, love, grace, joy, happiness, and abundance of what it is that we desire most. Paul, thank you for coming. Rick, I cannot wait to see you tomorrow play. Wednesday we'll be there. We'll get the interviews, and we'll show everybody just how grand and that feeling and a nicer video. I did that with my little phone all the way in the back because I didn't have any room up front. So it's a little blurry trying to zoom in on this beautiful man. But we will have better pictures then.
Hey MJ, you have another hour if you wanna drive it.
Oh.
Yeah, you have 2 hours today, remember? You started an hour early.
I love you, Ace Train. So Rick, tell us your schedule then. Tell us the rest of your schedule so that people can follow you.
Yes. The entire tour schedule is on our website, rickkay.org. We post a lot of it onto our social media at Facebook, Instagram. That's under Rick K Road Trip. And so you can get to it all there. We do try to get all across the country to spread the message of how music can heal regardless of the problems. And also, you know, in support of our veterans everywhere we go. And we just hope to continue to build on that every day to remind people how lucky we are.
Rick, what was one of the most, since he's going to give me more time, what was one of the most memorable like concerts you played? Was it one of your first ones, knowing what you wanted, like where you were, it was taking you?
Well, you know, sometimes it can be the oddest locations. I can specifically remember a show that it was pouring down the rain and you would think no one would be there. And those people, like you had mentioned, as far as ponchos, everything else, they put their ponchos on, they had their umbrellas. And I've always felt you do the same show for 5 or 5,000. And, you know, that's just really helped us stay focused over the years as far as it's important to each individual person, because if you can help one person that day, you know, then you've done your job. And then you just hope to help as many as possible. And so, you know, our travel overseas, I've been lucky enough to perform in Russia twice. Been to China, been to Austria, and wonderful learning experiences. And it's so surprising overseas, you know, through the news, they want to make people think that the foreign countries don't like us. No, they want to be us. When you go over there, you immediately realize that. Now, are they allowed to say it sometimes because their country is not as open as ours is? Maybe not. But if you talk to them privately, or if you see them respond to the American rock and roll that we perform, you see that they know the songs.
Yeah.
They can sing along even though they don't know what they're singing. And you realize how powerful the American music can be, because they all know it. And like I said, it was a very much a learning experience over the years, our international travel. And it just makes you realize, though, how lucky we are here in the United States and why so many people want to come here. It's not by accident.
Right, right. It's such a freedom. It is really such a beautiful freedom. Yeah. So then my next question is, so you didn't have one particular one that always stands out?
You know, there's just so many, to be honest. So no, they just, from town to town, there's something almost every day. I mean, sometimes it is the size of the audience. You know, I've performed in front of as many as 25,000 people, 4th of July in what they call, I'm going to get it wrong, but the Tri-City area there in Tennessee, Johnson City and 2 other towns that connect there, performed with several other acts there. And so sometimes it's the size of the audience that reminds you. And then, like I said, sometimes it's the fact that people are willing to put up with poor weather to still come out, you know, and still support the group. You know, so it does. It varies. We do a lot of charitable events with the American Cancer Society. And so a lot of people come up and tell me their cancer stories that, you know, their parents lost someone, or maybe they're fighting the cancer disease or a cancer survivor. And, you know, so many of the veterans, of course, after their time in the service, depending on where and when they were, obviously a lot of them, you know, had medical difficulties afterwards. And so those things have tied together for us when we discuss that during the show.
Is it do you have, like, how do you gear your mind when you go on the stage? Like, today I'm geared to, we're going to sing the songs to get these people up and moving. They're going to be dancing today, or they're going to be clapping today, or like, how do you gear your mind to that?
Like I said, to me, the focus is helping them enjoy that brief period of time, because in the type of performances that we have, and the Bloomsburg Fair is perfect example, Knoble's perfect example, and same thing all across the country, is that you get at least we do, we get such a wide age group. So, for example, Saturday night in Columbus, Indiana, we had 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids pressed up against the front of the stage, dancing, singing at the same time that their parents and their grandparents are out of the audience, clapping, singing. And so we try to keep it as broad as possible. And it's a family-oriented show from start to finish. So regardless if we play a song from the 50s or 60s or a top 40 song, it's fun for the whole family as far as that goes, no matter where we are. That part of the performance always stays the same as far as how it's open to families and people of all ages.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. So if you have anything that you want to say to the veterans today, because unfortunately, I know that I love it that Julie, I had 2 hours, but I really have all my questions because I really want to dive in on these 2 hours on our one-on-one. And some of these questions are going to be part of that. But this is such a highlight for me on my journey with you that I really want to take, all these questions, and I want people, right? If you want to ask Rick anything, and I know there's a lot of people in Danville, Bloom, Jerseytown, Berwick. I know this area. So, and I know there are a lot of friends of mine. So you come and ask questions you want about Rick. I got a lot of my senior baby boomers, Rick, who absolutely adore you. And they're so excited that you're coming back because I know my mother at least has her whole little plan coming every time that she comes in. So it is going to be very, very heartfelt. It's going to be very warming. I'm very happy. Be safe when you come. And today is a good day for me because today I get to go close on my farm here in Pennsylvania, so I never have to go back to Florida. So, but so that's why I kind of was like, I'm just going to get Rick a pump in there to get that Bloomsburg Fair. And then after that, we're going to have a beautiful 2-hour interview so that we don't have to worry, about time, and we can get all these questions answered. Got it?
Well, happy to be with you. And the key with the veterans, I mean, to think, if people haven't put any thought into it, when they wake up every morning, that they can go left, they can go right. They can stay in the house, they can leave the house. They can go to work, they can stay home from work. All those freedoms are because of our veterans, our armed service members, and the blood, the tears, the sacrifice that they made to allow us to be able to do those things, to be able to choose the job you want, to be able to go to the grocery store and purchase what you want. You have all the choices here in America because of those veterans. And then our first responders as well. I mean, people forget that, they're protecting your home, your children while they're at school. And like I said, after 9/11, we just all realized that, no, they are putting their lives on the line every single day, the same way our armed service members are.
That's amazing. So we're going to end this. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the Bloomsburg Fair Tuesday and Wednesday. It's tomorrow and Wednesday. If you are a veteran, please go see his show. Please go see it, especially if you're
Come on out. We would love to have you join us.
Yes, I'll be there, and we will have so much fun. Thank you, Rick. I know that you're sleepy. I know that was a long drive. And H-Train, thank you so much for the sounds today and getting the calls in. Paul, we're coming back to you. Don't you worry. I'll give you that website, and we'll get you in and moving with your beautiful lyrics to your own songs to help you heal.
Great talking to you, Paul, and all the best with your musical hopes and dreams there. You keep chasing them.
Thank you so much. Folks, we'll see you next week here on Conscious Positive Thinking. Thank you, Rick. Please drive carefully, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody.
Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.